everyone. I hope everybody's doing well. I got a few things for us today, and then I'm going to turn you loose so you can get to work. So, first and foremost, we are still doing SSR for 15 or 20 minutes, depending on the day. So, if you haven't done your SSR for today, go ahead and pause the video, find a comfortable spot, grab your book or magazine or newspaper, whatever it is that you're reading, and read. It's still important. There's a lot of value in that. Once you finish reading, go ahead and come back to the screen, click play, and then we'll pick up with DGP. And if you've already done your reading for today, I'm very proud of you. And we'll pick up with DGP. So here's our sentence. Yeah. I'm gonna hide that. All right, so the sentence is, I must have drunk 4 cups of cocoa because I was frozen from skating on Lake Kenton. So you guys know on Thursdays we look at punctuation errors or capitalization errors, any of the things that we need to fix within the sentence. So if you want to try it on your own, click pause and then see if you can figure it out. I believe in you. I know you can do this. You've got this. And then when you're ready, click play, and then we'll go over the answers. So the first 2 things that we need to fix, we need to capitalize I and I. Just that's a rule. We got to follow it, you guys. Lake Kenton is the name of a lake. So the L in lake and the K in Kenton are going to be capitalized. And then the period at the end, you guys, it's a statement. It's a declarative sentence if you want to get extra fancy. And so it needs a period at the end. That's it. So hit pause and make sure you've got your notes written down or typed up, however you decided to take them. And then when you're ready, we're going to pick up with our 2 articles from Actively Learn. Yeah. So here's the first one, just talking about Julius Caesar from Republic to Empire. I know you guys watched a documentary on him before we started reading the play, and then we read the play, and you guys have finished Act 4 and 5 with summaries, or at least you should have. But this is just a nice review of, who Caesar was, how he came into power, why people were so upset with him having so much power and wanting to be king. So question 1, what do the early adventures of Julius Caesar tell us about him? You guys already know this, but he was very brave and confident. He fought for what he wanted. He was very determined. Those are traits that really make you a good leader, within reason, of course. Okay, quiet, not so much. Shy, that's not Caesar. Who hated to get involved in conflict. I'm so glad none of you clicked that. Good job, you guys. And he was well educated and spent lots of time studying science. Not quite. The best answer here, he's a brave and confident person who fought for what he wanted. That's what makes him, such a phenomenal leader, or at least that's how he gains his power. I don't know if I can say clout, but clout, he's got a positive reputation. And so that's what helps him get there. All right. Why did members of the Senate assassinate Julius Caesar? Best answer here, they wanted Rome to stay a republic. They didn't want him to be king. Grown uncomfortable with his rise to power and king-like behavior. Again, they're fine with it to a certain extent, but then once things start really threatening the way that they've been living and their voice, there's an issue with that. So they handled it in the best way they knew how. Not the best way, but that's how they chose to handle things. All right, and then number 3, pick an event from the article and explain why it was significant in the transition from the Roman Republic to the Roman Empire. So you can talk about Caesar naming himself dictator, the people killing Caesar, and what that did, how that kind of got rid of one issue and made way for, this area to prosper, or even, when the other leaders following Caesar took charge. Any of those will be sufficient. Use your textual evidence. Explain why it's important. You guys, on your finals, when they happen, if they happen, if someone was to ask you, or just in life, if someone's going to ask you a question and they want you to explain why, don't just do one part. Do both parts, team. Explain why, and then make your statement. Moving on, this particular article I think is just so interesting to me, partly because I'm an English nerd and I really love Shakespeare, but I'll even talk about my change in thinking. Okay, as an educator, I'll talk about that in just a moment. So question one is a cool poll. How would you rate your ability to understand the language in Shakespeare's plays? So it looks like we're all across the board here. That's typical. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Some of you said it's super confusing. It seems like they're speaking in another language. I've heard students say this multiple times, which is why when we read his plays or when we act them out, especially with Romeo and Juliet, because most kids don't know what the heck is going on. I do pause a lot and explain the different lines and what they mean. Also, Shakespeare is known for his like puns and his dirty jokes. And so it's always funny to me when students laugh at like the right part or when they don't. And then that lets me know, okay, they definitely got it or they didn't get it. And depending on how crude it is, decides whether or not I explain it or we just let it roll. But Shakespeare was still a genius, and we need to read his text to at least appreciate that for a little bit. I can generally figure out what's happening in the play, but I don't understand all the words Shakespeare uses. So, fun fact, I don't either. I took a class on Shakespeare in college. Is one of the requirements to be an English major. He is a staple piece of English history and literature. And so, yes, there are classes devoted only to his plays and his sonnets and his texts, believe it or not. And yes, I did enjoy it. So you should know that about me. And then finally, I think the language in Shakespeare's plays is pretty clear and easy to understand. Shout out to the 11%. Yeah, sometimes I think the thing is with many of the books we read, we don't have, I don't want to say we don't have to think because you certainly do, but like you understand what they're saying and it transfers very easily. With Shakespeare, because we don't typically use his verbiage and the way that he does, it you have to pause, like you have to slow down. But it doesn't mean that you can't understand it. Sometimes you just gotta slow down a little bit. Okay, I think he's accessible to all of us. We just have to you know, take a moment and pause and read what he's saying and think about it. We can do that. All right, so what are some of Shakespearean scholars that says why? Why are some Shakespearean scholars opposed to translating his works into modern English? They think that translating the plays, you'll lose some of the power meaning behind Shakespeare's original language. I agree with this. Okay, that is the best answer. And as a teacher, that is why I feel like we at least read, one act or one scene or some monologues from his original language. I feel like that's important. But the longer I've been teaching, I realize that if you want kids to enjoy Shakespeare, they need to enjoy and understand like what's happening. It's really hard for them to enjoy him if they can't even understand what it is he's saying, right? So, my perception of things has changed greatly because now I am pulling in like graphic novels and um abridged texts and summaries of his plays because I want you to appreciate them in the story, but not get so hung up on the language and the words he's using. Because sometimes when we struggle with the wording and the phrases, we tend to shut down. We don't even want to read it because we don't understand what's going on. And there's a problem. I get it. I understand that. And I feel you. I do. But there's a problem with that because you're missing out on great stories. you know? All right, so they believe that most people can already understand written. Some of them do, but the best answer here really would be A. They just feel like you lose that authentic experience. But if you don't understand it, it's not doing you any good. It's just not helping you. All right, question 3. What is the most likely reason the author describes several recent Shakespearean performances in the previous paragraph to show that many widely accepted adaptations of his plays already exist? And this, again, also increases the accessibility of his plays to wider audiences. And that's important. To explain why it's not necessary to translate his plays into modern English, not quite. And to describe the reactions of people, no. I mean, this is included, but the purpose really would be to show that um, there are many accepted adaptations, uh, and they already exist. Kind of showing you both sides, right? So you see the side that people don't support it, but then also you see a side where they do. And to strengthen your writing, it is important to show both sides. There's more than one side to a single story. All right, that's it for the Shakespeare piece. If we were in school, we would definitely talk about this a little bit more and just, did you guys enjoy the graphic novel? Would you have rather read more of his original language? And that was definitely a part of my plan. And we're going to look at logos, ethos, and pathos within the original monologues and soliloquies of Mark Antony's and Brutus's speeches. But this virus, unfortunately, got the best of us. All right, so let's move on, and let me check the time really quickly. Sure, I'm not talking your head off, and I am, so I gotta wrap it up. Finish Julius Caesar, you guys. It's been 2 weeks. You should have already read the summaries by now. There's a take-home test related to Julius Caesar. Do it to the best of your ability. Use your notes. This is not a trick. Use your notes. Actively learn assignments. I just went over those, and I just went over the Rise of the Empire and Shakespearean Language article. So don't even stress about that. If you missed some of the other videos, then look back through them in classroom and take what you need. But I think that's it in terms of today's content. In terms of updates and reminders, I am not going to do a video tomorrow. Okay, this is your video for the rest of the week. If I need to update you on anything or remind you about something, I'll do that through email and a classroom announcement. Okay, but this is it in terms of videos. If you have questions for me, please email me. That is hands down the best way to get in touch with me. I mean, there's no if, ands, or buts about it. That is the best way to get in touch with me or any of your other teachers. I know for me, I have my emails synced to my phone. So when you send me one, it does go straight there. So that is the best route if you have like an immediate question. At this point in time, it looks like we won't be back together until about May 15th. In terms of additional assignments, I'm still waiting to hear back from our school and county leaders and state leaders about what that looks like for students. So at this point in time, just finish the assignments that you've been given already and know that as soon as I find out information, I will email you guys. I'll reach out to you all. But until then, take care and remember, I love you.